I heard a firm commitment to something I hadn't heard before from Mark Carney, Prime Minister.
Carney is a novice politician. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today, we got a house session here where Carney gets called out in the middle of speaking. He just goes speechless here. He doesn't know what to say. He gets called out on his crap. His record is not good. He's enriching himself, trying to boost the value of Brookfield. Meanwhile, we've got Elizabeth May. She knows which way she's going to be voting now. Got a bunch of other stuff. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, we got this from Table Salt. It says French language media is reporting 2 Conservative MPs were thinking about defecting to the Liberals, but have decided not, as they don't want to be labeled a traitor for the rest of their lives. But what is this? More propaganda. Based on what? Based on nothing. Got this one here. Very exciting. Palestinian flag raised at Calgary City Hall for first time. This is disgraceful. This is not Palestine. Why wouldn't we raise the Nigerian flag? Christians are being wiped out over in that country there at far greater numbers than people perishing in Palestine. Or we could talk about Yemen or another country where there's more people perishing. Why is it Palestine? We also have the same thing here in Toronto City Hall. I'm sorry, but these protesters have been blocking our streets, making life difficult for Canadians, costing taxpayers money. We shouldn't be raising this flag in support of people that don't support Canada. There's a large group of people that keep blocking Canadian streets, do not have the same rules and laws applied to them, as they did the exact same thing as a Freedom Convoy, but are receiving no charges in this 2-tier justice system we have here in Canada.
The Prime Minister's costly deficit gambles our future on the national credit card. And it drives up food, housing, and tax bills. In fact, the Parliamentary Budget Officer has revealed in his recent report the Prime Minister has doubled Justin Trudeau's deficit. He's brought in the biggest deficit in Canadian history outside of the pandemic, $16 billion bigger than he promised only 7 months ago. Why is it the Prime Minister breaking his word and forcing Canadians to pay higher inflation today and higher taxes tomorrow for his costly credit card budget?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, today is a good day. Inflation is down 2.2%. It's for almost 2 years. It's running within the Bank of Canada's target. Mr. Speaker, today this is a good month. Unemployment is down again. Jobs are up again. Mr. Speaker, today
the jobs he's talking about being up, most of them, almost all of them, are part-time jobs. We've lost a bunch of full-time jobs. This is more selective information here. The Liberals are never honest.
It's a historic day. The Leader of the Opposition and his colleagues have an opportunity to vote for generational investment to build.
Maybe it's a good day for him and his Brookfield buddies who are dodging their tax bills, but it's a terrible day for the Canadian people stuck paying record-high grocery bills. In fact, the Prime Minister said he'd be judged by prices at the grocery store. Today, Statistics Canada revealed that grocery price inflation is almost double the Bank of Canada's target, rising 40% faster in Canada than in the United States of America. The direct result of the Liberal industrial carbon tax on farmers, the food packaging tax, the fuel standard tax. The Prime Minister puts his budget on the national credit card. Does he expect Canadians to pay their groceries the same way?
Mr. Speaker, the rate of inflation is down. Mr. Speaker, job creation is up. Mr. Speaker, ambition and confidence in this country is sky high. We believe in Canada. We are investing in Canada. Yes. Today is the opportunity for every member of this House to join us.
We quite literally have major nation-building projects leaving Canada. We've got oil companies shutting down divisions, laying off hundreds of people. Stellantis, huge copper companies all leaving Canada, shutting down, and he says ambition is sky high in Canada. Our country is literally crumbling, and he's at fault here. He's rolling out an agenda to make himself rich. This is not an honest, good man.
Investing in Canada. He's dodging his taxes by putting his money outside of Canada, while the Canadian people cannot afford to eat, heat, or house themselves. Inflation is now nearly twice the target when it comes to the measurement of food, rising 40% faster in this country than south of the border. We have 100% more people lined up at food banks than in 2019 as the Prime Minister continues to raise taxes on farmers and on food packaging. So once again, the Prime Minister thinks he can put his budget on a limitless credit card. Does he really expect Canadians are going to buy groceries the same way?
Mr. Speaker, again this month, just as it was last month, just as it has been every month when I've been Prime Minister, Canadian wages have grown faster than the rate of inflation. Canadians are getting ahead. We are creating jobs.
Canadians are getting ahead? Really? We have thousands of Canadians losing their jobs because this guy can't get a deal with Donald Trump or is choosing not to get a deal with Donald Trump. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know this is the reason. The Dairy Supply Management Protecting Caisse de Dépôt Placement Quebec, this institutional investment fund in Quebec. If he negotiates supply management, then it'll affect the value of this, and then it'll affect the amount of votes he gets in Quebec. Mark Carney is running the Brookfield Party of Canada, and he doesn't care how he gets the votes. He just wants to bring out his tax incentives for Brookfield, funnel big funds, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds into his own funds he created at Brookfield, the largest green funds on planet Earth, and enrich himself. And as I broke down in a previous video, because he created those funds, Brookfield Global Transition Fund 1 and 2, and this Catalytic Transition Fund, which is for emerging markets outside of North America, the billions of dollars invested in all of these, he'll get a small percentage of that, but because it's a percentage of such a huge amount of money, he'll be making, based off of industry estimates, not my own guesstimates, off of industry estimates, 50 to upwards of $150 million per year off of these funds if he's able to pull a 10% return, bringing in new money into these funds with his actions as Prime Minister of Canada. This is a green grift to enrich himself. He doesn't give a crap about Canada. If he did, he wouldn't be 91% invested in America.
Despite the attack on this economy by the Americans, despite by the obstruction of the opposition, this is an opportunity to build our country. The vote is today. Stand up and be counted.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The Prime Minister was right by Surrey the other day handing out tax dollars and donuts in a photo op, but refused to take questions on the 330% increase in extortion that Liberals caused with soft on crime laws and open border policies. They've allowed extortionists out of prison by eliminating mandatory prison sentences, and they've allowed foreign gangsters to have visitor visas to kill our people in the streets. Why is it that he had time when he was near Surrey to hand out donuts, but not to stand up and protect Canadians against extortion?
Mr. Speaker, there's an opportunity to stand up and protect Canadians against extortion, against home invasion, against gun crime, against
Liberals.
Against mandatory against online harm to children.
You hear that? Against Liberals. One of the Conservatives called it out. Carney is such a joke here. You can't claim to stand up against extortion and home invasions when it is running rampant in our country. You know, when I grew up as a kid, there was no home invasions. There was no extortions. You could leave your garage door open. Nobody would steal anything. Nobody goes steal my brother's skateboard or my bike. Now you have to have everything locked down. People have bullards installed to try to protect their cars, Faraday cages and all sorts of things. The police are telling people to leave their keys at the door to let the home invaders steal cars. That's absolutely ridiculous. We should be arming ourselves with pew-pews and blasting these guys away. The most disgusting, deplorable humans on planet Earth have all migrated to Canada to rip Canadians off. They're sending our cars over to Africa and absolutely destroying our insurance rates. And this guy's the audacity to say you stand up against home invasions and extortions when this is happening on Liberals' watch here.
We are putting these legislations in front of this House. The opposition has a chance to support it. We will protect Canadians.
This is quite the scene here. So Elizabeth May gets to ask her one question, and Mark Carney actually takes the response here because she's asking it to Carney.
Agree that it is a deficiency in the budget that our legally binding Paris commitments are not mentioned. Can he confirm here on the floor of this House that in passing this budget, the government is committed to holding to as far below 2 degrees as possible, to funding climate adaptation, to delivering on the nature strategy, and continuing to engage in meaningful Indigenous reconciliation?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the Honourable...
From the top. Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the honourable member for advocacy of the Youth Climate Corps, which is in this budget and which this House can vote for. Vote for the future of this country. Mr. Speaker, this budget puts us on the path for real results for climate, for nature, for reconciliation. I can confirm to this House that we will respect our Paris commitments for climate change and we're determined to achieve them. I can confirm with this House that consistent with our Kunming Montreal commitments, the nature strategy will be released in the coming weeks. We will build this country strong, sustainable, and pure for future generations.
Oh, he's going to keep to that Paris Accord, that's for sure. With what you just saw there of Elizabeth May asking this question to Mark Carney, then we have this press conference after the House of Commons session. Looks like Elizabeth May will be supporting Mark Carney's budget.
I couldn't vote for that budget as I read it. I made it clear why I found it so very deficient. And one of the reasons was the Paris Agreement, and our commitment to it wasn't even mentioned.
So she goes on to ramble here. I know nobody wants to hear Elizabeth May ramble, so we'll just skip ahead. Listen to this.
That's a place of responsibility. And I heard my own inner voice say, we're at the very edge of it being too late for us to be sure that our own children and grandchildren alive today can live in a livable world where human civilization is sustainable.
Bill Gates, literally the kingpin of this, just came out recently and said this isn't a problem. Yet these green grifters are still going along with it.
Without what I heard from the Prime Minister today, I would have voted no. I didn't like the idea of ducking and abstaining, although that was a possibility. I wasn't afraid of an election for me personally, for the Green Party, but the answer is, I heard a firm commitment to something I hadn't heard before from Mark Carney, Prime Minister, that I'd heard previously from Mark Carney, former governor of the Bank of Canada, former governor of the Bank of England, former special envoy for climate finance.
Thanks for listing his resume there, May. She's just another seat for the Liberals. That's all she is.
To the Secretary General of the United Nations, I heard a firm commitment we will meet our Paris targets. That requires action very soon because the first target we're going to hit is 2030 and then 2035. Legally binding treaty commitments and a commitment to do far more that we've heard in the budget with funding for the Kunming Montreal commitments to nature, to stop beating up on Mother Earth and start the process of CPR.
You can't make this stuff up. Mark Carney just cut the trees program to plant 1 billion trees, and she's going to support him because of his unwavering support for the environment. Give me a break. You can't make this garbage up.
So, against what I had expected to say to you today, I'm going to vote yes for the country.
This is such a clown show. He literally cut Trudeau's program to plant trees.
The parliamentary budget officer rang the alarm on Friday. He tells Canadians there's just a 7.5% chance that this Prime Minister meets his own fiscal promise. The Liberals have twisted definitions so badly, he now recommends an independent expert body to police the numbers as he uncovered a $94 billion reallocation in the budget. And what is the Liberals' response? Not a correction, but an effort to silence the watchdog. Replace the referee rather than play by the rules. Will the Prime Minister tell Canadians why anyone should trust his fiscal rules when he has no intention of keeping them?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
Mr. Speaker, I'm a member of Parliament for a region that has many small communities. And I can tell you those small communities all across Northern Ontario are looking forward to the investments this budget makes in small and rural community infrastructure, in projects like the Crawford Mine just outside of Timmins that's going to create thousands of jobs, Mr. Speaker. These Canadians, these Northern Ontario Canadians know they have so much to offer, and they are imploring members opposite to vote for them in this evening.
This is real rich. Bringing up the mine. How can Canadians trust you're going to do it? I mean, look at the other project, the Sisson mine, was announced back in 2017. We're talking 8 years ago, and it still hasn't even been started. These Liberals don't do anything but enrich themselves. And they never get charged, prosecuted for it. I mean, we've got Cycle Capital, whole scandal here, Stephen Guilbeault. Sean Fraser lost 1 million people. He destroyed housing. Now he's destroying the justice system. These people are all losers. Gary Andesandri facilitated terror lords coming into Canada. This is the kind of people who are running the government.
Of course, the Liberal government shrugs off their own experts when truth is not convenient to them. One day after the budget drop, Fitch credit ratings rang another alarm, warning that the Liberals' reckless spending is eroding Canada's finances and putting pressure on our credit rating. Budget 2025 blows the deficit up to $80 billion and pushes our general deficit far above the AA credit rating median. They also reminds us that the Liberals have a strong track record of breaking every fiscal anchor that they set. How many more fiscal watchdogs need to blow the whistle before this Prime Minister reins in his reckless spending?
Speaker, historically, this budget aims to invest not only in infrastructure that typically is covered solely by provinces, but also in health infrastructure, Mr. Speaker, in small communities like Kenora, Mr. Speaker, where communities are waiting for those investments so that they can too have the kind of promise that Canadians in larger municipalities have, Mr. Speaker. And so let me just be clear. In Nipissing, Ontario, Mr. Speaker, where I visited a school food program, we are so excited that program will become permanent. On this side, we know that children need food to thrive. We hope.
Yeah, children should be able to have food because their parents should be able to afford it, but they can't. That's the problem. Parents are having to forego eating meals for their children to eat. That is the problem. She talks about bigger communities. People can't afford to live in bigger communities. I had to move out of Vancouver because it was too expensive. I worked in the video game industry for 13 years. How is it fair for Canadians to pay taxes to build up cities, and then we have big foreign money comes into Canada, jacks up the price, and forces all the Canadians out? It's preposterous. These guys allow big corporations to snap up all these houses like Brookfield. Meanwhile, we had Justin Trudeau, who owns a real estate development company, was all for those real estate prices rising because it made him rich.
We don't vote against hungry kids.
We don't vote against hungry kids. Wow. No, they just make an environment where Canadians can't afford to live, and then they offer them the MAID program. Disgraceful. Meanwhile, we've got a real example of what real Canadians are dealing with here.
Our generation is cooked. We're going to be living in our parents' basements until we're 35 because I just spent $30 on 2 boxes of cereal and milk. Like, how do you expect me to move out of my house when that is 2 hours of work right there? That's equivalent to 2 hours of my life is 2 boxes of cereal and some milk. Absolutely ridiculous. Welcome to the Liberal government of Canada.